Hi everyone, good day. My name is Samantha Deeraj and I'm Territory Manager at Nexsys and I'm based here in Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you so much for joining us today as we deep dive into the Azure Virtual Desktop experience. This session will be held by our team at Nexsys and it's for you, our valued partners. The session will be held and hosted by our presenter, Jesus Alvarez, and we're going to walk through some key elements as it pertains to Azure Virtual Desktop. Some important information to note that we do have a Q&A chat available, so we encourage you to utilize it as we'll be monitoring and replying accordingly throughout the session. Please note that this session will be recorded and available via on demand. It will be posted to our YouTube channel and you will have access. All materials and information explored today will be sent across to you after our session, so do look out for it. If you require any additional support or you have any questions, you can contact our speaker or any member of our team who will be happy to assist. With that being said, I now pass you over to our speaker today, Jesus, to walk you through. I also ask my colleague Juan if you have a few words to say as well before we begin.
Thank you so much, Sam. Good afternoon, everyone. As Samantha mentioned, we are really glad to have you here today in this coffee time where we hope that you enjoy a lot this session, that you learn a lot. At the end of the event, it's important to mention that we will be sharing very important also information and next steps about the marketing strategy related to Microsoft Azure and to know how to also grow the business together with Nexsys. As well, we will be raffling some vouchers among the ones who respond a short survey that we will be sharing in the Q&A sections later. So thank you so much and welcome everyone.
All right. And most importantly, guys, have fun. Our session is meant to be interactive. And of course, anyone from our Nexsys team is happy to assist. All right, Jesus, over to you, my friend.
Thanks, Sam. Good afternoon. Please, can you confirm me when you can see my screen?
Yes, confirming.
Okay, perfect. Well, here you have all my information in case that you have any question after this webinar. Today we're going to talk about Azure Virtual Desktop. Is a really good solution. It's really interesting. This is part of our agenda. We're going to see what is Azure Virtual Desktop, some of scenario that can be available to enable this scenario for our customer, the value that this solution have, how can we license it, how can we size it, and the pre-requirement that we need to deploy this solution in the cloud. In the end, we're gonna see the Q&A question to answer more of those that we be able to. Well, let's start. This is Azure Virtual Desktop, but what is really Azure Virtual Desktop? Azure Virtual Desktop is a comprehensive desktop and application virtualization service that run on Azure. It's the only virtual desktop infrastructure, or it's like we saw in so part like VDI, that offer simplified management, multi-section on Windows 10, optimization for all the M365 or Office 365 products, including the Office 365 Pro Plus, and support the remote desktop service to connect to this environment. A person can easily connect to the Windows desktop in minutes based on the profile via Windows desktop, on the web, from your Android, from your Mac OS, or from your iOS client. The best part of this is that the security is the top notch on the comparative data is always safe in any moment that it's it. Virtualization address a wide range of business needs, right? It's deal with security and compliance in sectors such as healthcare, government, finance. You can have an organization flexible workspace in addition onto the ongoing specialized workload like design, engineering, legacy application, and others. let's look some of the benefits that we can have with Azure Virtual Desktop. Some scenario that we can have on Azure Virtual Desktop are in the part of security and regulation. We can offer these to financial service, healthcare, and government. In flexi labor force, we can find companies as fusions and acquisition, short-term employees that we can have, contractor or partner access that need to have any access to any of our CRM, ERP, or any application that we have in our environment. You can use it to use the bring your own device. The bring your own devices when you have employees that use their own devices, laptops or phones or mobiles to do the day works. We can offer this solution for call centers or branch workers. We can offer this for some specialized workloads too, like for example, design and engineering, to run some legacy application that we can move to other servers or any other version because it won't work again, or in environment of software development test. Azure Virtual Desktop is the best virtual desktop and application experience delivered on Azure. Why? Because with Windows 10 multi-section, we can offer our customer experience on a shared virtual machine. We optimize, it's optimized for Office 365 Pro Plus because the Microsoft Office application are some of the most commonly used and virtualized application in any business. Per email, clients' performance is one of the main issues preventing many companies from full adoption, no presence in virtual desktop models. For administrator, the various solution is a huge problem that can be resolved dramatically, increasing servers utilization, increasing costs, and continued poor and inconsistent performance in the end of the user. But with FS Logic combined with Office 365 Pro Plus, we can enable faster load time for user profile in Outlook or with OneDrive. FS Logic is application profile containers move their entire user profile, including registration, into a guest container, which appear to be fully integrated with the local system. This approach completely eliminates the needs for folders, direction, or other shared network-based solution that leads to long serve query during the speaking period. The user's email performance return to normal or indistinguishable from running Outlook in a well optimization local computing environment. Part of the benefits that we have with Azure Virtual Desktop is that we have virtualization host of the future. Why? Because in the past we only was able to have virtualization in servers or in Windows 10 Enterprise. But now we have the option with Azure Virtual Desktop to have Windows 10 multi-section, Windows 10 or in the same mode, Windows 10 single section. We can run this environment in other version of Windows, for example, Windows 7 single section, Windows servers from the 2012 R2 to the newest version, the 2022. The only multi-section experience come with Windows 10, right? And with Windows 10 multi-section, we can have multiple active users simultaneous on the same virtual machine. Each user data is isolated from all other users. You are using the same VM, but all the profiles, all the login of the user, all the data of the user is isolated. We can run it on Windows 7, 10, Windows Server 20R2 to the newest version. Which benefit we have with this? Top price of performance, we can reduce IT costs, we can reduce storage costs, we can rise a client-based implementation, And this application is compatible with user experience between servers and client operating system. Some additional value that we can have with Azure Virtual Desktop is that we can have a better experience because we can use some platform on this device. We can enhance the security, we can simplify the management of the devices and the user because all of this administration is integrated in one console. In the part of Azure, we can interiorize and globalize all the part of the security environment. We can, in the part of superior economics, we can have one solution, cost-effective, flexible, and we can use OpEx to run with the day of the company. The best part is that we have a strong partner ecosystem. We have more than a K partner that where we can integrate them in the same environment, and all those solutions have already expensorized. The part of the best virtualization and user experience, we can see that we can use this solution with the platform of your choice. You can connect from any device that you choose. Can be Windows, Mac, iOS, HTML5, Android, Linux. We have one Windows virtualization because we have one local Windows experience and wide device compatibility. The Azure Virtual Desktop and customer is the best user experience out of there because with Azure Virtual Desktop, user can connect to any device. They have extremely fast login time. Remember that Azure Virtual Desktop offers extremely fast login times. It's because we use a containerized user profile, but the net results is experiencingly fast login time. It shouldn't be surprising that Windows devices are favored as we can do more with Windows devices. Customers and Windows devices will have alike because Windows experience and the best support have the best support that we can afford. You'll notice that two of our basic services are called on Office 365 and Teams, right? Engineering is working hard to make sure that the customer get the best possible experience when they are using Office 365 and Teams in virtual deployment too. The best experience of this Office 365, for example, means email calendars, Outlook, performance. That is one of the best part of the using of Office 365 for the Windows clients. We can run native solution from Microsoft, like calendar and all those all those other solutions. The customer benefits of Azure Virtual Desktop on all the environments we put is the part of the security, because the customer can configure familiar Azure Security Service as they build in the deployment. There are three security benefits that pertain with Azure Virtual Desktop servers alone. The attack surface is reduced because we use reserves connection technology. Essentially, that means we do not open ports of inventory to virtual machine, so there are few places for bad actors to attack us. We have the ability to define rollback access. That means that the customer can analyze management tasks and also protect their most sensitive user group and workloads. Lately, every customer will ask you this. Sorry. Are the user section isolated even in multi-section environment? The answer is yes, because it's important to communicate then that you are sharing one VM, but all the data are isolated in the environment. We are claiming that Azure Virtual Desktop is the more efficient and simple to use for our customer. But why we say that? For start, it is a service for desktop and remote application, right? So the administration only needs to learn one service, not multiple service. Azure Virtual Desktop is the one more service of the Azure family, and the administrator will be familiar with the environment. We're still building tools, but our aspiration is that we have the best, most complete set of management tools out of there, and our partners will build those tools too. I know that the management console and interface I still have some development, but we have active most of there in availability tools. This solution is growing day by day to give us the best experience, but having it secure, because we can have a VN management. We have many services of administration, and all of those are integrated with for example, the same Active Active Directory family credential that we regularly use. Based on Azure, we can standardize, we can have a global and security cloud with this solution. Why? Because when we standardize, we have one core infrastructure across region. We can have it connected solution as infrastructure as a service or platform as a service, and we have one consistent deployment to around serverless architecture. In the part of money, we can see that we can have a superior economics due to significant cost saving. Why? Because in the part infrastructure, we can save around 70% of licensing, because Windows 10 experience at the cost is multi-section. We don't have to buy multiple license of Windows 10 for run this environment. The cost-effective compute and storage, because we have some connections of services, for example, OneDrive that we can connect on this environment. We have a flexible network provisioning. We have the best value compute rating, and we have OpEx spending aligned with our business. In licensing with Azure Virtual Desktop, we can save around 60% more or less, because Azure Virtual Desktop management service include the license that you already own, that you already have, that your customer already use. We can use their remote desktop code and save this cost in multi-section deployment. And we can use the 3 years Windows 7 and of support included. In the part of work, we can have one reduce of 60%, because we will have lower level costs, because the computing storage is moved to the cloud, and we have lower labor costs when we use a platform as a service solution. With remote desktop streaming in the Azure Virtual Desktop, we can have one additional add-on that it include that is that we can migrate Windows apps to Azure and remotely stream them for employees or customer with Azure Virtual Desktop. For example, we can have internal users, for example, employers, contractors, that are people that work in the organization, and they can use the Azure Virtual Desktop apps for their own employees who's covered by the existing license enablements. And we can add this option for external users too that are not employed. This is new feature on the solution, where we have one new form of monthly per user license access for your organization to use this solution on Azure Virtual Desktop to enable the organization to deliver their apps as a software as a service solution to be accessed for their customers. This is the portal. This is the portal of Windows Virtual Desktop. We are gonna see one overview over this, but I wanted to show it this before we continue. This is the portal. We can create a host pool, application, we can assign users. Give me 1 second when I did one change here. Now we're gonna see the pricing, right? It's important to understand this because in some cases I saw some confusion about how do it work, and we need to understand why we can have this reduced that I mentioned in the last slide of the part of licensing. Many customers already have are eligible to use Azure Virtual Desktop as part of this their existing licensing agreement. For example, access to access it is available in an Azure subscription. You only need to enable it. The license to access Azure Virtual Desktop is associated with the user, not to the device. If we want to virtualize Windows 10 or Windows 7, we can access Windows 10 Enterprise and Windows Server Enterprise Desktop, and the application at no addition of cost if you have one of the requirement of Windows or M365 licenses. You can get extended security update through Windows 7 desktop, more options support than legacy apps on Windows 10. If you want to virtualize Windows Server environment, you can access this Windows Server with Remote Desktop Service or RDS. You can access your applications or the desktop that are not included code if you already have the remote desktop service call. For example, if you are the customer can access virtual desktop from no Windows Pro endpoint if they have Microsoft Microsoft 365 E3, E5, Enterprise, A3, A5, student benefits, or if they already have Windows 10 VDA. Remember that if you have to use the remote desktop card in the server in the server environment, the remote desktop card have to be associated with one software assurance or one SA. This one, the thing that we mentioned before, the per user access pricings for external user. Is new. Microsoft introduced this as monthly pricing for external users for Azure Virtual Desktop. It's available from July of last year, and it's gonna be free to March 31st of this March 30, 34, 31 of this month. The cost is $550 per user monthly if you're only gonna use the apps option of Azure Virtual Desktop, or if you wanna use the apps option and desktop too, the price is $10 per user monthly. This is end user price. As you as a partner, you have a better price than this. You have zero cost if the user does not connect to any Azure Virtual Desktop resource. The key includes on this kind of licensing include only access right to Azure Virtual Desktop first party solution, only provide access to Azure Virtual Desktop for external user when the environment is running on Windows 7, 10, and 10 multi-sections. It's not included in Windows servers. To stream this stream the to stream a desktop, you need to add primary and significant value on the desktop. It's the cost of Azure infrastructure remain the same. You pay through Azure subscription, and does not apply. It does not support Azure Active Directory external or guest user on this kind of licensing for the environment. Let's jump in. Okay. The pricing of Azure for Azure Virtual Desktop are calculated from the user cost, and we have to calculate the infrastructure cost. The user cost no charge the user with eligible license of Windows license. The monthly price per user to the only price that's gonna be added in this case is the external user. Do you remember the license include E3, E5, A1, A3, A5, and the cost? This is what is mentioned here. And the calculator of the infrastructure is made on the calculator on Azure. On Azure, you need to have one Azure account and one subscription to deploy and manage the virtual machine. The price factors include virtual machines, operating system, storage, the data disk that is the data that have each user or the personal desktop only, the user profile storage, and the networking. You pay only for the virtual machine storage, the VM, cores, and RAM storage, and the networking consumed from this environment. A client must meet one of each of the critical to qualify to Azure Virtual Desktop. This is one slide similar that we saw before. And the part of licensing, if in Windows 10 per device, Windows 10 in the Windows E3, E5, A3, A5, BDA. For M365, those kind of version E3, E5, F1, A3, A5, and in hybrid environment, the class of remote desktop. Those are the OS compatible of this environment: Windows 7, Windows 10, Windows 10 multi-section. I think I saw Windows 11 too, but I have to review which option are available there. If it's one option of multi-section there too. Windows servers on all those flavors from the 2000 AR2 to the newest version. The place that the VM are running are in Azure, and you need one agent running on the VMs. That can be one Azure Virtual Desktop agent, one Azure Virtual Desktop that supports Citrix Cloud VDA agent, and one agent that support VMware Horizon on Azure Guy. The architecture of this environment is not too complex because this solution provides infrastructure as a management service deploy and manage VMs in Azure. For instance, in your subscription, you have the control of full desktop and application, or the practice system that I mentioned before. You can manage you can have the management and policy of the image, the apps that you're going to use, the profiles management, the using sensitivity, the VM size. You can change the size as your organization needs. You use management and identity with integrated of your current Azure Active Directory that you already have in your licensing. And you can configure many networking policy. The management of Microsoft is the part on the services, the client to see the diagnostic, give you diagnostic, enable you the gateway of connection, all the part of management broken, and enable you load balancing there. In the part of the infrastructure that you're gonna have compute, storage, and networking. You can access the solution or connect the solution with one on-premise environment using one express route or one VPN. The user used to authenticate the Azure Active Directory identities, and it's integrated or can be integrated with Windows System Center Manager, or you can synchronize it to integrate it with any Intune if the organization already have it configured. This is part of the responsibility that we have we have when we have one on-prem VDI and when we run this solution of Azure Virtual Desktop. For example, the part of the identity, the user device, the mobile of the PC, the application of security, the section host. We have the same level of responsibility on those parts. But when we have one solution of Azure Virtual Desktop, we the responsibility of virtualization control plane, the part of physical host, physical network, physical data center, all those parts are managed for Microsoft. And on this in this part we have a less responsibility. As with many cloud service, there are shared set of security responsibility. You can control and flexibility and with and com responsibility. If you are adopting Azure Virtual Desktop, it's important to understand that while some components come already secure of your environment, there are others area you will need to configure to fit your organization security needs. Remember that to access the solution, first you need one account and one subscription on Azure. To implement and administrate quick of the virtualization environment. Those are just some components that are included in the price of Azure Virtual Desktop. On this part, you will need to a storage for the practice system, the VM, the disk of data, the storage for profiles, user, and the networking. In Azure Virtual Desktop, use all the part of the administration is connected with with the identity of Azure Active Directory. Give you the one full infrastructure of visualization as a service. You can implement and administrate all the VMs in just one subscription. You can administrate all the tools that you already have, like configuration manager, Intune, and you can have a simplified connection to all your local resources if you need it. This is just one table to evaluate what kind of VMs we can use depending of the workload type that we already have when we are going to host one sizing of on Azure Virtual Desktop. So we have two options to do the sizing of Virtual Desktop with multi-sections and with single section. This is just one recommendation. You can use VMs with less performance than those. But for example, we have this following table is just one suggestion to understand how many units of virtual CPU we need depending of the kind of workload that we are going to run on the environment. For example, one environment like that the user only going to be connected and open files and those kind of things. This is the maximum quantity of user that we can configure in the solution per virtual CPU. For example, if this one environment like, we will use one environment with 6 user per virtual CPU. If it's medium, 4. If it's heavy, 2 users per virtual CPU. And if it's one environment power, for example, one environment of design of simulations, we recommend to use this kind of performance. Just have in mind one user per virtual CPU. Those are just some recommendation of example of VMs or instances that we can use of those kind of environment. But we have all the VMs family available to run on this solution except the A series. In single section, this is one personal desktop for each user. The sizing is largely depend on the workload that we are going to use, the app that we are going to deploy, and the user type that's going to use those resources. We recommend at least 2 physical CPU cores per VM. depending of the solution that you are going to use there. Typically, 4 CPUs with hyper-threading. If you need more specification of VM size recommendation for single session scenario, we're going to share you some links where you can evaluate this part. When we mention the architecture for to deploy for external user, the most elements of the deployment are the same, whether if you are deploying Azure Virtual Desktop in internal or to external users, because Azure Virtual Desktop do not support external identity providers. If you are one ISP or you have one client that is one ISP, the ISP need to create and manage identity even for external users. To provide the most security solution to the end customer, Microsoft recommends them to create one separately Azure AD tenant or Active Directory tenant per customer enterprise. This is just for ISP. ISP are companies that have one solution that they already developed, but they have many clients that they see the same solution. Let's talk about security, right? You know that security is the most important part after the cost. With the part of security, we have blending a security across all the Microsoft ecosystem, because we have all the part of Microsoft 365, for example, conditional access, multi-factor authentication. We have the role-based access control to manage the access or to resources on the environment. Azure have 90 compliance of offering that's run on there. Remember that you have the inside and the advisor running in the same solution, looking some advices to optimize your environment. And with Azure Virtual Desktop, you told us that your process to build security, right? We reserve, connect, we have Azure Active Directory authentication. We can use other joins for virtual machine. Azure Virtual Desktop is close likely with Microsoft 365 security feature, including all those conditions that we already mentioned. With Windows 10, Windows 10 includes two technology that can be used for application control depending on your organization specification scenario and the requirement to, for example, Windows Defender application control and the apps locker. Apps locker was introduced with Windows 7 and allow organization to control what application their user are allowed to run on their Windows client. Apps Locker provides security value as defense in depends feature and helps the end user avoid running inappropriate software on the computer. Apps Locker policy can be applied to a users on a computer or to an individual user or group in the organization. The App Locker rules can be defined based on attribute of a coding certificate using it to sign an app and its binary have attributes of apps binaries that come with the signed metadata for the file, such as original file name and version or hash of the file. The patch for which the apps or files is launched from with Windows 10 version, the version 1903. With this solution was introduced with Windows 10 and allow the organizations to control what drives an application are allowed to run on their Windows 10 client. How can we active the part that we saw of for external user? We go to to the virtual desktop part, we will see this box that's named per user access pricing. You should then see the list of the subscription that you have in your tenant. You can be a list by name if you already put one name of this, but if you don't put it a name, it's gonna have a numbers for identify each of them. After we saw the subscription that we want, we only have to click the box of relevant subscription and click on the roll button in the top to active, and you will see when it's done, you will see display that the role activation is complete. Remember that this activation is only for external users. It does not include the guest user of the configuration that we have on the Azure Active Directory. This is part of the step that we recommend to understand better how to work this solution. You can see how the migration guide of Azure Virtual Desktop. We can see the fast track in case that you have one ISP customer, or in your organization you have any solution that you already developed as ISP. You can see the results of modernize or maximize their revenue with this solution. Those are some of the resources that we are going to share with you too, how to work the remote streaming on Azure Virtual Desktop, how you can migrate or modernize on Azure. For now, we're gonna do one brief tour on Azure Virtual Desktop. When we log in Azure on the page portal.azure.com, we only have to find the service here of Azure Virtual Desktop. We log in here, and on this part we can start from creating our pool of solution, right? But on this part we have many documentation that can help us to understand how do the solution work and help us in the part of the implementation. For example, how you can start to run the solution, how you can create one environment with your own image of the server that you are going to deploy here in the solution, to understand how can you calculate how are the costs for the environment, and some profile container, how can we run this to have one profile this that are not in the containers. When we create this, it's the same, we will see the same the same fields that we saw when we create any resource here in Azure. First we select, for example, the subscription, the group where we are going to deploy the solution. We don't have, if we want to have one group independent of easily that the one that we already have, we can create here one. We put one pool name, host pool name. We select one locations for our environment. And here we see this field that, okay, if you change, for example, from East to East US2, all the metadata are going to be stored geographic associated with East US, right? You can have one validation environment in case that you need it. You can select the type of pool that you want to run here, if it's one pool, personal or pooled. Personal is one environment when each user is going to have one VM. In pooled, we can configure how many users we are going to have per VMs. In case that for example, we have two kind of balancing algorithm for bullet. One is that, for example, if you have 3 VMs and you have VM1, VM2, and VM3, and we have the user one gonna be connected to the VM1. The user two in case gonna be connected in the VM2. The user three gonna be connected in user three. But in case that login one user four, this user four gonna be connected in the PC1 again, and gonna be fulfill all those VM. The other one, the thing that I do is that if, for example, you put here maximum user 16 user, that this option do is when enable you one VM, and when this VM already have 16 user, turn on one new VM, right? Those are the two kind of balancing that we have here in the pool type. We can select one Azure Virtual Machine. If we click on Node, we will see we don't you won't have it upload, just in case that you already have one VM created and you want to add it on this pool of host pool. Here we can define the group, resource group that you are gonna have. We need to put one prefix or one name to this pool. We can select in which region is gonna be run this VM. If we are gonna need one availability zone, any availability set, any kind the type of security that you want. If you want the basic Trust Launch virtual machines, we can select the image from here in all the version that we have for the environment. If you see, we can see Windows 10 multi-section, Windows Server 2019, Windows here. This is the part that I mentioned where you have Windows 11 Enterprise multi-section, only the OS, or if you want it with the M365 option. Remember that those are images, right? Those images include only the operating system, or if you want to add the M365 apps there too, when you up the VM gonna have the M365 already installed in the environment. Or if you already have, for example, one server with one CRM as SAP or Dynamic on-prem or QuickBook, for example, those are just some example of apps. You can upload the image here and see all the image. This is not here. You can select the image and charge the image to deploy this VM. Here you mention how many VMs you will have for a start. We only have one VM. You can select the type of disk that the OS gonna have. Remember that Microsoft always recommend you to select the premium SSD to have the SLA of 99.99%. You can enable the boot diagnostic. You can create here the part how you are going to register the app. If you already create one workspace, this step have to be done before you enter here. When you create the workspace where the app's going to be there. In the part of the advanced, we only have to click next. We can see the diagnostic setting if you want to enable it, the part of tags. And after this, we click on review. And if everything's done, you're gonna have one green check here. But like we didn't fulfill the part on basic and VMs. Don't allow me to create this. But like I already have one host pool created, I'm gonna show you. When you create the host pool, you will have the host pool here where I have the VM assigned to this pool and what kind of size has this VM. We can configure the Microsoft Desktop properties. We can have or manage the application group. We can see the diagnostic of the diagnostic setting, the logs. We can assign the access control of the people that can do any kind of change of this VM, right? The other place is the application group. In the application group is the part where we create what kind of application are we gonna add on this part. And on here we have the workspace. The workspace, for example, if one workspace for Adobe or is one workspace for any kind of solution, we can configure the scaling plan in case that we need that the VM tab I have. For example, if we have here the task manager, okay. All we know this task management, right? In this task manager, we can see how is the usage, for example, the CPU, the memory, the disk, all the resources that my VM or my PC have, right? Remember that the auto scaling performance that we have on Azure, we can configure, for example, if this VM go to 38% of CPU, you can enable one new VM or you can upgrade the configuration of this VM, right? This is what we can do as the same here in the scaling plan. We can see which user are allowed to access here in the solution. We have inside option. We can see workloads. We can configure this as the virtual desktop environment or so inside that can be added here. This is the power licenses per users for external users and the part information for AISP. I already have this subscription enrolled. This is it. I don't know if you team want to add something else. If done, to here is the presentation.
All right,
Hey.
excellent, Jesus. Hey, Yuan. Hey, Shadi. Thank you so much, Jesus, for that. Shadi? Juan?
Thank you so much, Jesus. And now I will hand over to Shade to close this copy time session. She will share with you some really important information about the next steps that we can have to increase your Microsoft Azure sales. Shade?
Thank you, Juan. Thank you, Sam. It was a pleasure. Thank you, Jesus, for that presentation. I hope we can leave here today not only understanding Azure, but in also thinking of ways to grow Azure sales for our regions. Most importantly, I hope you were enjoying the session with the coffee kits that some of you have received this week. If not, you will be receiving it throughout the rest of the week. That was our gift from us to you for your participation, for your efforts so far. We hope to continue this with you in the form of one-to-one sessions. So coming out of this meeting, my colleague Tamara, the product manager for Microsoft brand at Nexsys, will be setting up some one-on-one sessions with you and your end users. So ensure that you reach out to us with the list of customers that you want to have to continue this session with. In addition to that, there is a survey that Juan will share with you at the end of, it should be coming up on the screen soon. Right, you can open your camera on your phone, scan the QR code, do the survey to win a voucher, right? Everybody likes free things. I don't know about you, I do. So that's an opportunity to win something. And thank you. I just want to thank you again for your participation, to Tamara Swebe, our product manager, for the dedication so far. My colleague Samantha in Trinidad, also for the time and effort overseeing, the territory there. Jesus for that presentation, and your technical brain. Juan for putting this event. Thank you, Juan, for putting this event together. We couldn't have done it without you. And Isabel. Also look out for communications from Isabel, our colleague, who is dedicating on growing you as a partner. I must point out, even though you may know already, that Nexsys is not a transactional distributor. We are a strategic distributor who is focused on growing your brand, growing your certification. I am sorry about that. Work from home is beautiful, it's complex at the same time. Right, so we're focused on growing your brand, not only in certifications, but only in demand, but also in demand generation. So we're passing off what we're able to do for you in case you don't have the resources in-house to offer the support. You can count on us to support you in that way. I hope that was comprehensive. Samantha, if you have any last words. Juan, again, thank you, everyone.
No, thank you so much, Shadi, and thank you, everyone, for your partnership with us. We greatly appreciate it. Our team here is available to support with any inquiries and any sort of demos and trials you may require. Again, please count on our diverse and supportive team.
Thank you so much to all the team, and thank you, our business partners. We look forward to hearing from you and to continuing growing the business together. Have a nice day.
We live in the digital era where business is no longer as usual. In this time of intense change, fast is first, and opportunities are everywhere for those who seize it to create new value, new capabilities, and new partnerships. From idea to design and production, through marketing and beyond, it's a time of unprecedented disruption where digital is business. Imagine if you could anticipate and predict your customers' needs so well that you ship the order seconds before the demand comes in. Imagine if you can deliver personalized experiences at a fraction of the cost it takes you to build mass products today. Imagine if you raise the quality of your customer service to new heights and scale to meet peak demand without adding staff. Imagine if you combine the power of machine learning and the wisdom of crowdsourcing to create an entirely new market. We believe in what people make possible. To succeed in the digital era, organizations work with Microsoft Digital Advisors. Together, we reimagine and transform. Together, we design a program of change to build your digital business. Together, we capture the value of the digital era. Partner with Microsoft today.